Hi Internet, my name's Jack. I'm home alone during a thunderstorm. I'm not wearing pants, and today we are going to do the hashtag #GetToKnowYourWitches tag. This tag was started by a user on YouTube named Little Cosmic Crow. If I'm clever enough to link her channel in the description of this video, I will. You know what? I'm going to take the glasses off. I don't like them there. I'm vain. Anyways, it's 15 questions. Just figured we'd mix it up a little bit. I've been doing a lot of deck reviews on my blog lately and wanted to give something kind of different for the blog. So yeah, without further ado, let's dive in. Question number 1. Does your sun sign portray you correctly? If not, do your other planetary signs. So my sun sign is Aries, and yes, but for complicated reasons. I have a lot of Aries going on in my chart. It's not just my sun. I have a couple of other planets there. My south node is there. There's stuff going on. I'm a little cagey about talking about a lot of the specifics of my chart on the internet, but there's a great deal of Mars in my chart, and in particular there's a great deal of Aries and that connection to the Mars. So yes, surprisingly, I'm not as quick to anger as you would expect. Seeing how much Mars there is in my chart, I'm certainly not as competitive as you'd expect. But a lot of the other sort of Aries stereotypes certainly carry through. Question number 2. What songs bring you the most magical vibes? Okay, so I have a confession here. I don't play music in ritual. I am staunchly opposed to bringing electronic devices into ritual. And so that means I don't use any recorded music whatsoever. I'm totally down with learning the lyrics of a song and then singing it, a cappella or with a drum or bringing an instrument in, but I won't bring anything electronic in and I won't play any recordings. Things that I listen to just, when I'm meditating. I don't know if you can hear the thunder. There's a lot of thunder going on outside right now. Anyways, Fleetwood Mac is very witchy, always a go-to. I did some work with the goddess Rhiannon last year, and that's kind of what got me started with her, which is weird, but, why do pagans start working with gods? It's all confusing and a little silly when you get down to it. But I was listening to the song, and then that sort of poked me in the direction of finding out more about the goddess herself, and then I ended up in a devotional relationship with her for a little while. So yeah, Fleetwood Mac, always a good one. I also really love the song Meet Me on the Equinox by, Death Cab for Cutie. So, there are a couple. Just really depends. There are always seasonal songs that really make me think of certain times, right? Obviously, any kind of Christmas carol has great big old Yule vibes to it, and so on and so forth. Question number 3. Which one of your deities, guides, or ancestors is most sarcastic with you? If this doesn't apply to you, which of your tarot or oracle decks is? Truth be told, I don't get a lot of sarcasm out of the deities or the spirits that I work with. Nor out of a particular tarot deck or a particular medium of divination. I will find if I'm doing a reading that I really shouldn't be doing, either because I already know the answer, or because I've already made up my mind and the reading's not going to influence the reading's not going to influence me anyway, or just because I'm being kind of a dumb bitch. If I do a reading in those circumstances, then I'll get something out of the reading that will be a little cheeky, and I will be like, hey, dumb shit, what are you doing? But I don't find that with a particular deck more than another, right? It's really about the question and the circumstances of my asking the question, more so than the thing that I'm using to perform the divination. So, number 4, biggest witchy mess up or misinterpretation. Oh god, there are so many. I mean, there are dozens. This is how you learn in the craft, is by screwing shit up. Probably one of the funnier ones is, no, I don't know if it's funny. This is one that springs immediately to mind. Is when I first started working with my group, when I was in outer court training with my coven. The first time we had ritual, I didn't realize that we would be clothed for ritual. I thought we would be skyclad, and there was no big to-do about it. My high priestess had a spare robe that she let me use, and then I acquired my own shortly thereafter. But that was a misinterpretation, right? That was a point of confusion for me, for sure. Question number 5. Would you write a book on your craft or spirituality? Why? If you already have, what were your challenges in doing so? Currently, no. Right? I'm not at a place in the craft where it would be appropriate for me to write in a book. I'm not in the place in the craft where I would have time to write a book, right? I'm still in a stage in my tradition where I'm still learning. I'm still being trained. I'm still part of a coven. I'm not autonomous. I don't have experience running a coven. I've been in my tradition for a very short time. There is no reason for me to write a book, and I have no authority to. On top of that, I'm in grad school. Yay! And my PhD gives me no time for anything else, let alone a book-sized project. So, 10 years in the future, when I've got my sea legs, maybe I might think about it, but for now, no. Question 6. If someone wanted to summon you to their circle, what 5 items would they need? This is fun. I have circulated versions of this on Facebook as a meme before because I really love it, and I love seeing what other people say they would use to summon you. So my 5 would probably be thunder. Number 1, popcorn. I love popcorn. I am a fiend for popcorn. This would have been maybe a year or so ago, I was going on a long road trip with some friends. We're talking like a 14-hour drive. And we went to the grocery store to pick up all kinds of snacks and supplies for the trip. And I got this massive bag of pre-popped popcorn, like larger than my torso, right? And I'm carrying this around the grocery store. And one of my friends stops me and looks at me. He goes, "Oh, hey, I love popcorn." And I think I said something along the lines of, "Cool. So what are you getting for you?" Because that whole bag of popcorn was just mine, and it was finished very, very quickly in the trip. We had to stop and get more. So, popcorn, number 1 thing if you're trying to summon me. Number 2 thing, something James Bond related. If you're going with a DVD, probably Casino Royale. Casino Royale, I'm young enough that Casino Royale was the second Bond movie I ever saw in theaters, and it was a soft reboot of the franchise. You might not know this. You might not be a James Bond person, dear listener. Anyways, I love James Bond, and Casino Royale just completely reinvented the Bond genre. It was stunning. There's nothing else like it. So, possibly one of those. I'm actually not wearing my ring right now. Do I have it? Yes. One of the pieces of jewelry I wear consistently is a Spectre ring. So that's from the most recent Bond movie, for those of you who are familiar. So that would be also a good thing to use as the James Bond thing to summon me with. Number 3 thing, God, 5 is going to be hard. 5 things is a lot. Anyways, we'll work on it. Number 3 thing, diamonds. Diamonds are forever, and they are all I need to please me. That's a James Bond reference for those of you who don't know. Anyways, no, I love gemstones. I always have, and I'm deeply troubled by the horrific conditions of workers in gemstone mines and the general environmental horror that is the gemstone mining industry. But God, I love gemstones. Always loved gemstones. I used to live in Monaco. And I was working for a law firm back then, and on my way to work, I would walk past all of the jewelry stores, right? The Cartier and the shit, now I can't remember any of them, Hermes, and so on and so forth, and just looking at these stunning displays of diamonds in the windows just takes my breath away every single time. I love diamonds, and gemstones more broadly, but, the background fantasy that you have when you get really stressed with life and you're like, screw it, I'll just abandon everything and get an RV and drive across the country. My version of that is I say, screw it, I'll just become a gemstone analyst, which I think would be a fantastic career. So, anyway, so that's 3. 2 more. we'll circle back to that, maybe. I will think in the background. But for now, those are the big three that you would need in order to summon me. Question number 7. If you were a ghost, what place would you haunt? Mountains. Mountains, mountains, mountains. Probably like Mount Whitney, maybe Mount Shasta, right? One of the 14ers in California. Second choice, if I'm not allowed to be a mountain ghost, in which case the rules are bogus, and I'm very upset. Second choice would be to haunt the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City. I love the Met. I used to work there. My favorite place in New York City. Feels like home every time I go. But, yeah, mountains. I miss mountains. Question 8. What is the funniest way someone has reacted to finding out you are a witch? I don't hang with a crowd that reacts in amusing ways, right? All of my friends are either pagans, in which case they're like, yeah, of course you're a witch, we're all witches, that's why we're here. Or they are academics who just think that, like, all religion is bullshit, and pagan religion is maybe a slightly weirder version of that, but it's like, no one cares, and if they react, it's with a general lack of curiosity and probably mild contempt. So, sadly, I don't have, like, a really good story to tell on this one. But, you know, it's nice that no one has ever told me I'm going to hell. That's a good thing. So, question 9. Do you have any superstitions? Oh, I have tons of superstitions. Tons of superstitions. In part, right, because I practice magic, and magical thinking and superstition are like this. And, you know, there are some fairly standard ones. Don't open an umbrella inside. If you knock over the salt, you have to take a pinch and throw it over your shoulder. Things like that. Common, well-known superstitions. There are probably a couple of other ones. I always take off my glove. If it's winter and I'm wearing gloves, I'll take off my glove to shake someone's hand. There is a superstition, it's a Russian superstition, that I'm not very good at adhering to, but there's a Russian superstition that if you're giving someone flowers, you never give them an even number of flowers. You always pick an odd number, because even numbers are reserved for the dead. And so if you give someone an even number of flowers, you are wishing death on them. The reason I'm not very good at keeping with that is A, I don't have the patience to count the number of flowers in a bouquet, and B, especially if you're getting roses or something, it's just really common in the US to get a dozen. So it's a superstition I have, but one that I'm very bad at observing. Question 10. If you could possess any fantasy magic, what would your power be? So I understand this isn't really in the spirit of the question, but I would love to be like a Gandalf and just have very ill-defined but far-reaching powers, right? It's not like Gandalf has one power. Gandalf can just, like, kind of do all of the shit, but often chooses not to, and frankly, that is what I aspire to in my magical life. More in keeping with the spirit of the question. Some big ones: transportation of some kind, whether that be teleportation or flying on a broomstick. Flying in general would be super cool. But, you know, getting from point A to point B would be a wonderful magical power. I was going to say pyromancy, but that's kind of divination. But, you know, the ability to control fire would be very cool. And time travel also would be very cool. So I guess if I had to pick just one, I'd say teleportation, but, you know, there are a couple. There are a lot of interesting things that, sadly, I cannot do. Question 11. What is something random on your altar? Luckily, I am sitting right here next to my altar, so let's see what I want to talk about. I'll talk about this. So, this is a badass candle holder. The antlers are not real, the antlers are resin. But this candle holder is a remnant of a ritual that I did with my best friend, who is also a witch. We did a fall equinox ritual, and we had two of these, and so she kept one and I kept the other, and we had a white candle in one, and we had a black candle in the other, and part of the ritual was sort of passing the flame of the light half of the year from the white candle to the dark half of the year on the black candle. So that was super cool, and I keep this on my altar as a memento of that occasion. Question 12. If one of the YouTubers you watch was a genie and they could grant you 3 wishes within their power, who would it be and what wishes? So when we say within their power, do we mean within their power as a genie or within their power as a YouTuber? Right? Because I feel like those are very different. So I don't actually watch a lot of YouTubers, but I will pick Thorn Mooney because she's great. Let's say that Thorn Mooney is my genie. Are we saying that she's granting me wishes within her power currently as Thorn Mooney, the witch who exists? Or is she granting me wishes within her power as Thorn Mooney, the genie who presumably has supernatural powers beyond the abilities of regular old Thorn Mooney? Going with the latter because it sounds more fun. I want a castle, but like a nice castle, right? Like I want a really cool old castle, but one that's been gone over and refurbished with proper insulation and, electricity and running water and real toilets and Wi-Fi and like a gas stove. So a castle, that's wish number 1. I'm gonna wish never to have to worry about money. Not necessarily to be rich, but never to be in a place where I'm like, oh shit, I don't have enough money in the bank this month. That's wish number 2. God, that's such a pathetic wish. I'm sorry. I'm bad at this game. But I wished for the castle, which I feel like is a sufficiently elaborate wish to counteract the mundanity of the other one. And wish number 3, I'm gonna go with a Dorian Gray style eternal youth. Ooh! That's the 4th thing that you should put in a magic circle if you're trying to summon me, is a copy of The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde, because that is, without a doubt, my favorite novel. And I read it at far too young an age. It corrupted me, and, well, here I am. So, 4th thing for the magic circle is a copy of The Picture of Dorian Gray, and also my 3rd wish is to be eternally young, but without the horrible corruption of the soul that happens in the novel. If you haven't read the novel, more or less the plot of it is that the eponymous character makes a Faustian bargain and he gets to remain forever young, and there's this portrait that ages in his stead, but he becomes a horrible person and corrupts everyone around him. Yay! Question 13. If you could instantly become an expert in any part of your craft/spirituality, what would it be? Herbalism. Herbalism. My god, I am so bad at herbs, and it's such an important part of witchcraft. I am very, very slowly getting better with herbs, but I don't have a nose for it. It doesn't come easily to me. It's not natural to me. I never really know how to use herbs in magic. Like, I have an incense blend that I made, and every now and then I'll be like, yeah, sure, I'll stick some cinnamon on this candle. But I'm bad at figuring out what to do with herbs. And also just at, like, learning their qualities, both their medicinal and their magical qualities. I'm not a great herbalist. So yes, that is the thing for sure. If I could have instant expertise in any part of the craft, herbalism. Question 14. When you die, what do you think will happen to you or your soul? I don't fucking know, man. I don't know. I hold with reincarnation. Broadly speaking, I think there's some kind of reincarnation going on. Beyond that, I don't know the specifics. No one really knows the specifics. And, it's a mystery. That's cool. It's one of the big mysteries. It's one of the few things that everyone experiences. Everyone's born, everyone dies. And no one knows what's going on after. I vacillate on this, I really do, in part because a lot of the philosophy of sort of endurant selfhood is really pessimistic. And both the neuroscience and the philosophical side of things really seem to conclude that the idea of a persistent underlying self is just not correct. And so that doesn't bode well for the idea of a persistent self that continues to exist beyond death. So sometimes I'm more on the annihilationist end of things. Currently, I stand pretty much in the reincarnation camp, but at the end of the day, I really don't know. So, and question 15. Where do you see yourself spiritually in the next 5 years? Oh god, there's so much to do in the next 5 years. I've been doing a lot of complicated shadow worky type inner stuff lately, and that's going to be going on for a while. It may not be 5 years, but it's certainly a couple more years in the making. So I'll be doing that for a while. You know, the big stuff takes time, always does. Yeah. Other than that, yeah, there's still a lot to do in the craft. There's a lot to learn. I have places to go and things to see, and I'm just along for the ride. You know, I mentioned earlier in this video, I've been in my tradition for a fairly short time, and, you know, I intend to be here for life, so I still have quite a lot to learn. But, shit, I need to come up with a 5th thing to put in a magic circle in order to summon me. We should do something philosophy related, right? Because I'm a philosopher, this is what I'm getting my doctorate in, so we should represent that aspect of me in some way. So we will say that you could throw in a copy of... Oh, what's good? Throw in a copy of the Critique of Pure Reason. I'm a Kant person, I work on Kant, that's a good standard. There you go. That's the 5th thing that you need to put in a circle to summon me. So that was the completion of the answer to which question? 6. Question 6. 5 things to put in a circle to summon me. Popcorn, something James Bond, diamonds, a copy of The Picture of Dorian Gray, and a copy of the Critique of Pure Reason. So, on that note, I'm going to finish this video up because we're at like 22 minutes. It's a little on the long side for what I like to do with these. I hope you enjoyed. Later this week, I will be publishing a review of the Slavic Tarot on my blog. I'm super, super excited about that. I hope you guys enjoy it as much as I do. And aside from that, yeah, have a good day, and thank you for watching.